Hi, welcome to the mix room. This is Dami. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to creatively use saturation on a bass track. We're going to be using 808 in this example. How can you use saturation to add that grit that helps the 808 cut through the mix and give it some added, aggressiveness, right? Also, using saturation in this case to add more punch in terms of more attack to the 808 track. So without wasting much time, let's jump right in. All right, so I'm going to play the 808 track. All right, so as you can hear, you can easily tell the notes of the bass, what it's doing. And then here is the channel where I'm using the saturation on, which I've duplicated it. Let me play it so you can hear it first with the original track. As you can see, that is night and day, and the 808 that sounded boring before, it's now alive. The decision to do this is based off of the energy that the song itself is providing. You won't do this on every single song, even though when I'm mixing 808 like that, I would normally do this, but it depends on the 808. If the 808, the producer already have, the top end on there, then you wouldn't have to worry. Let me also play this with the kick drum so you can feel all of those low-end instruments together. Okay. So the first thing I did here on this track was to roll off everything up until about 600 right here on the 808 track. And then I didn't stop there because the goal for this track is to get as much top end as I can get out of this 808. When you hear the original, the top end doesn't even exist. So it's like almost I'm trying to find something that doesn't exist in that 808. But let's see what we're able to achieve. So you can see on here around 1.5, I'm boosting like 4 dB as well. I'm finding everything I can boost in the top end, the mid-range. At 600, I'm also boosting another 1.3. So I'm boosting again about 7 dB. So 7 dB plus, who knows, 3 dB, that's almost 10 dB in the same frequency area, right? And then I'm cutting about 16 dB at 200. I did not want any of that low end in this track at all. So let me play exactly what this sounds like now. Bypassed. Okay, so you can hear some of the knock boom, which is the initial attack on that 808, which is good. So if I blend this with the track, nothing is going to happen because I have not really done much at all. So, and let's hear it. So let me bypass it. No, so that didn't work. So here is where the magic is happening. I decided to use what is it called, by waves, berserk, right? By waves, and then played around with fours. That's the character that I chose here, fours. And I just played around with this stuff, so I'm going to play it for you so you can hear what it sounds like. Let's bypass this. So this is basically night and day. I bring in, it's a distortion box, it's bringing in all of the harmonic content now. So that's our distortion box. And then the next thing I'm doing, of course, you might ask, why am I adding, because it doesn't make sense to add MV2. MV2 is a compressor. This stuff, even from the waveform, is already way compressed. There's no dynamic whatsoever. In this section, the other section here, let me actually play that so you can hear. So this is maybe where this would make sense. It's almost acting as a kick drum, and I would like to increase some of the sustain. So using MV2, let's hear it on this section here. Okay, so you can see the tail is a little bit much. It's bringing the low volume up, and this is what I like to do when I duplicate track like this and I'm adding distortion. I want to squash it. No, especially on stuff like that, I just want to squash it. I don't want no single atom of dynamic in there at all. So it's almost acting as a parallel. So think of this as a parallel processing, parallel distortion that I'm doing here. So it's to control it, you know. It's like putting a limit around there. I don't want anything to go above certain section. So that's exactly what I did on this song. There's one other thing that I did here. I like to play with, you know, using stereo even on bass, but not on the low end. So let me show you what I mean here. So I decided to send the top end here, because that's what we basically have, to like a H3000, which is that's the micro shift by Sound Toys. It should be around here. Okay. Right, so I'm basically sending that to this right here to give me some stereo width. That's why I do that. So now the bass is not just mono, it's also the top end of the bass is stereo. Adding like, you know, extra excitement, synth. Do this when it works for the song. If you already have other instruments in there that are producing the exact same frequency, you might not want to do that because it's going to clash. Let's just say, let the bass be the bass. But in this case, you can be creative. So you see on the bass track, not only have I added distortion to get some character out of it, but also using the H3000 to get some stereo width. So let me play it with the effect on. Play the original bass. Alright, so I hope this was helpful in terms of how you can use saturation to enlighten, to make your bass sound good. This is going to cut through well on a lot of smaller speakers and hi-fi speakers as well too, and it's adding some energy and something to the overall song. Alright, stay tuned and I'll see you guys in a different video. Bye bye.